Just by way of clarification of one of the
Senator
issues.
O'Brien on the bill.
No, I was going to ask the sponsor to yield to one question.
Okay.
If she'd yield, and that is the question of insurance coverage. I think we established during Senator DeFrancisco's line of questioning that insurance companies aren't required to provide coverage for medical marijuana. But my question to the sponsor is whether or not an insurance company would be allowed to opt to provide insurance coverage if the insurer so decided, if the sponsor would yield.
Senator Savino yields.
Through you, Mr. President, if an insurance company decided that they might want to opt in, they could. It has not happened anywhere else because of the concerns of running afoul of federal law. Marijuana is a Schedule I substance, which makes it illegal under federal law.
Thank you. On the bill?
Senator O'Brien on the bill.
First, I want to congratulate and thank Senator Savino. I think Senator DeFrancisco used the word tenacity, which is certainly an appropriate characterization of the fight that Senator Savino has put forward. But also, she listens. She was very accommodating. Many of those who know I was resistant to this bill for a long time, and like to think I did my own due diligence and research in coming to a conclusion. But Senator Savino always was very willing to be accommodating, and I think there's 5 or 6 prints before we even got to the three-way agreement process. And I really appreciate Senator Savino's persistence in going through this process and getting us to a vote today. I also want to thank Senator Larkin for his courageous. We all know that Senator Larkin is a person of his convictions, and ended up casting a decisive vote in the Health Committee. Without his vote, we wouldn't be to this point here today. So thank you, Senator Larkin. It's a shame. I think you were at least in part motivated by returning veterans and the belief that they may be able to help with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a shame that that's not one of the conditions that makes medical marijuana available for. I hope that the Health Department in 18 months will come to the conclusion that we should extend that hope to our returning veterans as well. I did have some reservations about this bill, and I did try to do my due diligence with respect to talking to doctors and reading scores of literature. And frankly, with all due respect to Senator DeFrancisco and Hannon, come to a different conclusion. I do believe that there are people that are suffering right now, and it is a shame, as Senator Hannon says, that their suffering is put off for some 18 months at a minimum. But people are suffering now, and I've come to the conclusion that suffering can be alleviated by passing this bill. And I want to thank particularly the advocates, many of whom traveled from Rochester this week, have been here all week. I know Holly Anderson, the executive director of the Breast Cancer Coalition of Rochester, is here. She's here with family members, parents of children who have debilitating and painful diseases. Spouses are here, families are here. And really the courage of their convictions, the courage of their willingness to share their stories with me was quite impactful. And I do believe that we owe it to the advocates a great sense of gratitude for their persistence and making sure that we provide sensible legislation. And that's exactly what we have. Senator Savino has worked very, very hard to give sensible legislation that provides for certified patients, registry ID cards, provisions for making sure caregivers are appropriately monitored, registered organizations, prohibitions against how much medical marijuana you can get at any one time, protections for how that medical marijuana is used, new crimes to make sure that law enforcement doesn't have additional problems. And I congratulate the governor for his input in making sure that we got to this point so that we still may not have a perfect bill. I don't know that ever any bill is ever perfect, but it's really due to the advocacy of many, many people that maybe decide we can continue to try to tweak a bill forever. And we could be here not passing any legislation because we didn't have the perfect bill. But the fact of the matter for me remains this, and that's that people are suffering right now. That suffering can be alleviated as soon as we can make this available to them. And I would tend to vote aye. Thank you, Mr. President.